Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news live this Sunday morning. We've got Cole Palmer talking about Man United links. We've got a treble Newcastle transfer swoop. United are in for these three players. Can they get any of them? Any of them would be a huge addition in the summer, and United are sniffing around the Newcastle crisis. Also, some interesting comments coming out from Michael Carrick and a legend of the game telling Zirkzee to quit Manchester United. We'll delve into all of that, but we're a little bit late this morning because ole ole, ole ole, we're in the final and we're gonna win the lot. Yes, I couldn't do my morning show this morning because my son Seb's under-9s team were playing in a cup semi-final away from home. We've been on the road every round actually. Every game we've played a decent team away from home. We were at Sutton United today. Very, very good team. Went to penalties, 1-1. And we won it on penalties. Get in. Get in. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. This is why we love this game. And things are going well for Man United. And things are going well for us. So look, this is why I love this fucking game. This is why I love this game. Because people say, oh, you must get so fed up of United being shit. Well, we do. But this is, it's that feeling. It's that feeling that football can give you, that you crave it like a drug. You really do. So yeah, that's why I'm a little bit late this morning. But loads to get into. Does De Ligt come in for Maguire, says Butch? Probably not at the moment. And chat, would you take Garner and Tonali, says Mrs. Stone? We're getting Nani, guys. Okay, she's going off in the chat. Okay, let's start off. Well, where do we start off? We've got quite a lot to go into. Right, the three Newcastle players that United are sniffing around. And think about Cunha, think about Mbeumo. This is from our source, although Ben Jacobs mentioned it on Friday in relation to Anthony Gordon. We've actually had a little bit stuff coming in, and we've had good stuff over the last 18 months. United are definitely sniffing around Newcastle. That is a headline you can take to the bank. We are definitely sniffing around Newcastle. They're done. I'm grateful about this. Newcastle were a team I actually expected to finish higher than us in August. I thought that they would do. They're a very good team. They're falling like a stone. Eddie Howe might lose his job. They're in the bottom half of the table. They got beat by Brentford last night. Their stars are getting itchy feet. They won't be in Europe next year, not even in the Europa League. It's just a season in the Premier League. And their big players are going, hold on a minute, this project's not working. So Man United are looking at this Mbeumo and Cunha style and going, these are experienced Premier League proven players with plenty left in the tank. You've got Tonali, who's 26 in the summer. You've got Gordon, who's 25 this month. And then you've got a little bit older, Bruno G, who's 29 in November. Two of those players, their contracts are up in 2028. So Tonali and Bruno G, 2 years left on their deal. They're going to be pushing. And then Anthony Gordon, I think his contract's till 2030. But again, they're going to be pushing as well. So look, out of those three, how would you rank those? I'll do that in a minute. But this is the sort of thing that encourages me. And look, we've been down the garden path with this ownership many times before. But whoever the manager's going to be, whatever's going to happen with the ownership, and we're not going to change that, these are the type of players I think that make the difference. I mean, I look at Mbeumo, I look at Cunha, and I see what they've brought to this side. These are the type of players you need to bring in, and we need to start doing it in our midfield as well. So whether it's Bruno G or Tonali, I'm encouraged that Man United are looking to take advantage. And look, add them into the pot. Certainly, you've got Baleba, Wharton, Anderson, all interesting. Add in Bruno G and Tonali. You've got 5 there. I love this. This is positive because, as we know with this board, they're not great. And as we know with Jason Wilcox, he isn't that good. So if we need a midfielder and you send it, it's like sending an idiot to B&Q to get you a tin of white paint. They do so many different brands of white paint and it's white. They should come back with a tin of white paint, right? They should do. It's very, very easy. And I think with Wilcox, if there's 5 or 6 really good Premier League proven midfielders available, not everybody can buy them. Like, all right, Chelsea might beat us, Liverpool might beat us, Man City might beat us, Arsenal might beat us. But after that, that's 4 midfielders gone. We should get the 5th. So I want as many of those available in the summer as possible. And this I find exciting because we know about Wharton, we know about Baleba, we know about Anderson. But if Tonali's in there and Bruno Guimaraes is in there, that's 5. And I would expect us to get 1 of those, maybe even 2 of those. So encouraged by that and Newcastle's bad form, is going to be good for us because it's a little bit like, well, it's like any club where you're an ambition. You don't want to be 25, 28, and like in a team that's going to be out of Europe for another year and doesn't really have a vision. What's Newcastle's vision now? They've been very good, but what's their vision? Are they changing their manager? They're not going to be in Europe. There is an opportunity there. And also, they always need money. They're not going to be in the Champions League. So this is an absolutely good bit of news, and I'm encouraged by this. And look, I don't like the ownership. I don't like the board. However, when I hear stuff like this, I'm not going to say it's not a good idea. I think it's a really good idea to go there and have as many options as possible. And look, I suppose the question would be, would you take Tonali over Adam Wharton? Yes. Would I take Bruno Guimaraes over Baleba? Yes. Because I think everybody gets lost on the long term. Well, Baleba might be a brilliant player in 3 years' time. I need Man United to be a brilliant team now. And I think Bruno Guimaraes would be a good signing. But look, it adds more into the pot, certainly. As for Anthony Gordon, I mean, look, I'm not going to... That was mentioned by Ben Jacobs on Friday. He's certainly a player of interest. I think Anthony Gordon as a left winger would be very interesting. I don't think United will do it. I don't think United will go for Anthony Gordon. I really like Anthony Gordon. I think he's got the aggression. He's got the work rate. He's got the goals. He's hitting the right age at 25. I would love Anthony Gordon at Man United, and I think he'd become a fan favourite very quickly because he's a really hard-working player. He's aggressive as well. I just think the price tag will probably put us off, that we wouldn't want to be paying. I mean, I can see him going for 80, 90, 100 million pounds. So I think Anthony Gordon's a player I like, and I'd certainly love to think that United would be starting next season with Anthony Gordon as a left wing option. I just feel in that position we might go for something a little bit less experienced. But I like the idea of it, and I like the idea that we're sniffing around Newcastle because they are going to have to sell players in the summer, and they're not going to be in Europe in the summer. And I think it's you've got to. It's like when you play Championship Manager or Football Manager or FC 26 or whatever like that. You look at the teams going down and you think, all right, I'll pick them up and I'll pick them up. And I think that's going to be the same. Lewis Hall is a really good shout as well. I mean, I don't know whether we could do that. I would love Lewis Hall at Manchester United. I mean, I've not heard that name at all. It's Gordon, it's Bruno G, and it's Tonali that we're looking at. But I'd love to add in Lewis Hall. I like that centre-back they've got as well. But I mean, I don't know whether they're going to be realistic or not. Morning, Mark. I agree with you raiding Newcastle for players, but the hidden big story, what do you think of Eddie Howe as United manager? Exciting. Do you agree, says Ryle? No, I don't think that's going to happen. Mark, you said some weeks ago that Cunha and Mbeumo looked like United made them worse. Doesn't look like it now, says Gazzy. But I mean, I don't really get what your point is there, because I think they did look worse up until 3 weeks ago, and I think the system has helped them. I think so many of these players couldn't play a 3-4-3, and that's unfortunately a reflection on them. I was listening to what Bruno said yesterday about being listened to by the coach and freedom. I think it's scary. I think that's going to be scary in the future. So basically, we're playing a 4-3-3 because that's what the players want to do. You shouldn't listen to the players. They should be able to play different systems. But I think Cunha and Mbeumo were struggling in those systems, and now we've gone to a system that everybody's comfortable in. They're playing better. But Cunha and Mbeumo were struggling a little bit. They were. We were struggling a bit. We've just won the last 4 games. We weren't doing that. So I don't really get what the point is, because you're telling me that Cunha and Mbeumo were tearing it up between September and Christmas. Well, clearly they weren't, and now they are. What happens to Dorgu if we get Gordon? Competition for places, Mrs. Stone. What's happening to Sesko at the moment? Competition for places, Mrs. Stone. Do you think it's because we want Eddie Howe as well, says Ross? I don't think Man United want Eddie Howe. I've not heard anything about that. Is it me or Ricky constipates on Bruno topic, says Amit? Look, Ricky loves to be right. And Ricky wants to be right about Bruno. But unfortunately, he's digging his heels in on a topic he'll never be right of. I mean, I love Ricky, and I really do. And but I just laugh at him about Bruno and Shaw. He thinks Shaw's world class, and he thinks Bruno's ass. And unfortunately, he's wrong on both. But he won't admit it, and I admire that. I respect that. But he's completely wrong. Completely wrong. Right, let's. I want to whiz through some stuff. I want to talk about this Zirkzee story. But look, oh no, I said I'd rank it. If I had the choice between Tonali, Bruno G, and Gordon, this is how I would rank them in relation to getting them at Man United. Tonali number 1, Gordon number 2, and Bruno G number 3. And that's not an age thing. That's not because Gordon's going to be 25 this month and Tonali's going to be 26 this month, next month, in the summer, and Bruno G is going to be 29. I ain't got a problem with buying Bruno G at 29 years of age. Actually, be 28. He's 29 in November. I ain't got a problem with that at all. I think he's got 4 years at the top level. So I would sign Bruno G. I just think Tonali is more of a sitting midfielder, which is what we need. Gordon is a winger, which is what we need. And Bruno Guimaraes is more box-to-box. And I think we've got Manu for that role. So I'd be very happy with any of them. But I think if I was in order, I'd go Tonali, Gordon and Bruno G. And having spoken to Michael Carrick last night, I'm joking. No, having spoken to the person I spoke to last night, I get the feeling that's going to be the order that United go for. I don't think we'll go near Bruno Guimaraes because the Ineos don't like buying players over 26. But I'd go Tonali first, Anthony Gordon, then Bruno G. But I like all three. Ray Simpson says, based on priority, I'd go Bruno G, Tonali, then Gordon. So he's flipped it around. I recall Ricky saying yesterday he wanted a team that safely held possession. In other words, he's stealthy Southgate in, says Once. And Mr. Connor says, I've just came from your Carrick video. I hope that means you've just watched the video and not something else. What if I said to you that Carrick will not be manager but head coach? If players try player power when results are bad, they will have to take on Wilcox, who is more powerful than Ollie was, says Mr. Connor. I don't think that works. So basically the players can bypass Carrick to go and moan at Wilcox. No. Player power's got to die. Player power works for an interim, but it can't work in the future. Di Matteo had player power and won the Champions League, and then the next season when he tried to be a manager, they wouldn't do it. So you short term, it'll work. Is this spin again, Mark, says Andy? Well, no, spin stuff that comes from the club. This is coming from a source that we have. So it's not spin that Man United want to bring in more players like Cunha and Mbeumo, and Newcastle is seen as an opportunity. We don't respect Newcastle at Manchester United. Look at what we did with Dan Ashworth. So we will look at players, and Newcastle basically what United are doing is they're looking at the Cunha and Mbeumo recruitment and they're really happy with it. They're looking at teams in the Premier League that are going to be needing to sell in the summer and they're focusing in on them. Another name that was mentioned to me was Aston Villa. There's a feeling that Emery could go in the summer, and if Villa drop out of the top 5 and they don't win the Europa League, they're not in the Champions League, they need to sell to buy again, Man United might look at Villa. Morgan Rogers has been mentioned. Now look, that's tentative. I'm not sitting here saying Man United are going for Morgan Rogers in the summer. But what I was told last night is that Man United are definitely looking at opportunities around the Premier League for players around 25 years of age that clubs are going to need to sell. They're fully aware that some of their big targets there's going to be big competition for. So they want to be in a position where they have a pool of 10 to 20 players that not everybody can buy, so that if they don't get Elliot Anderson, they can go for somebody like Tonali. Or if they don't get Anthony Gordon, they could go for somebody else who is, experienced. Now, Semenyo was one of those players, but obviously he's already gone. So watch out. Newcastle at the moment are something that United are definitely putting their eyes on, because Newcastle are not coming back in the league and they're not going to win the Champions League. So they won't be in Europe. And they'll have a lot of players that are unhappy and they'll need to make money. So Newcastle, United are all eyes on at the moment. We know about Belaber at Brighton. We know about Anderson at Forest, and we know about Wharton at Palace. But Newcastle firmly in United's sights. Any other clubs like that? West Ham, Forest go down. We're already looking at Anderson. There's not really anybody at West Ham or Leeds. But United are very interested in teams that maybe we're expecting to be in the Champions League and they're not going to be in it. So Newcastle, Villa, they're clubs I think United need to look at and will be looking at. My replacement for Casemiro is Tchouaméni. He's the most natural number 6 in the world. May want out of Real Madrid's chaos, says T-Man. And Mark, I think he would be a good signing, Tchouaméni. I think it's. I agree with you. I think he would be a good signing. I've not heard anything about United going for him though. Mark, as time goes by, we get Champions League. Do you think Casemiro was a flop? Same question for Maguire, says Gazzy. I don't think Casemiro's been a flop, and I don't think Maguire's been a flop. I think they've been very expensive, and I think they've had bad times, but they've also had good times as well. So I'd sort of rate them as a sort of average signing. So Saudi owners don't guarantee success, says Robert McCormack. Well, look, Newcastle's problem, and it's not our problem, is that they can't get the money in because of FFP. They can't do what Man City did, so they're really hamstrung. What about Somerville from West Ham? Well, hopefully he won't have a good game for me. Not Gordon for me. The final ball isn't great, says Dan Davey. Left wing then becomes Cunha, Dorgu and Gordon, says Mrs. Stone. No, I don't think Cunha's a left winger, to be honest with you. I really don't. Let me talk to you about what Cole Palmer's said. So Cole Palmer was talking after the game against Chelsea. Chelsea's game against Wolves. He was talking about transfers, etc., etc. And he basically had this to say. He said, look, everyone loves to chat rubbish. I don't pay too much attention to it. You see things, but I feel like I've come from a strong place anyway, so I don't pay attention to it in relation to transfer speculation. Now, it was a couple of weeks ago that we were talking about Cole Palmer to Manchester United. I think it was always a big load of rubbish. And obviously Cole Palmer's coming out confirming that. I think Cole Palmer, I know he got a hat-trick yesterday and a couple of the goals were penalties. You can argue whether Man United need Cole Palmer or not. I do like Cole Palmer. However, it's just not. That's not an opportunity, is it? I mean, Chelsea are going to be in the Champions League. They're doing very, very well. They're an exciting project. He's focal to that project. You're not getting Cole Palmer out of Chelsea for anything less than £150 million. And we're not being able to do that. But I think the Newcastle avenue is an exciting one. And people say, how can you be encouraged and excited about these sort of things when you're so negative about the ownership? Because you have to be. That's how you have to focus. I mean, I'm very happy with what we're doing. I'm very happy that we're winning games. I'm enjoying it. And I don't want to just, we will buy players in the summer and hopefully it'll be the right players. I think it's going to be a roller coaster because we have the wrong owners and we're always going to battle against that. But you can't give up and say, well, I'm not going to be excited or positive about things. I want United to somehow be sustainably successful. It's going to be very, very difficult. But when I hear things like this, there are some good people working at the club. And when I hear good stuff from the club about what we're doing with Newcastle, then look, I'm sure Newcastle are going to go, no, 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 no. We will not let them go. Bismillah. But they will. They will have to let them go because the players will push for moves. They saw what happened with Isak and they won't have Champions League football. I mean, look at Isak. Liverpool wanted him. Newcastle were in the Champions League and he's like, I'm not training. I'm going. So you can get these players out. You can. How much do you think we should spend on how many players in the summer? But what do you think Wilcox and Glinios will actually do, says Nabeen? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. But somewhere between 300 and 500 million pounds. I mean, if you want an honest answer, I'll give it you. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. But that's what that team needs. We are in a very fortuitous position at the moment that we're playing well and we're playing one game a week and everybody's motivated. Manchester United need to be playing twice a week, whether it's Carabao Cup semi-finals, FA Cup games or European games. It's embarrassing that after West Ham on Tuesday, we don't play a game for 2 weeks. It's February. It's not an international break. It's embarrassing. So we need to build a squad that's capable of doing that. What about Van der Ven, says Lee Bickerton. Wouldn't go anywhere near Van der Ven. Fantastic player, but very injury prone. I wouldn't go anywhere near him, to be honest with you. Patrick Lynch says, with Newcastle, do we know what type of wages those players are on? They're Saudi owned and to entice those players, they probably paid big wages. We know Ineos don't want to pay big wages. I'm just going to whack this in here and I'll find out very quickly. But I don't think they'll be that big because of the FFP. They can't just throw big wages at players because of FFP. So I actually don't think they will. Top earner is Bruno G, 160 grand. Anthony Gordon, 150 grand. Tonali's on 120 grand. So we'd be happy to pay any of those wages. You'd happily give Tonali a pay rise to 160k from 120k, and he'd still be on less than people like Mason Mount, De Ligt, etc. So, no, their wages are not going to be a massive concern at all. Good point, though, Patrick. Hope we sign all Premier League proven players next summer, says Amit. Thank you very much. And also, Daniel Thompson says, hope you're well. United stand. Great stuff about Seb. Well done, mate. Newcastle are picking up losses like Austin. Theory, joining the vision in WWE just to take the pins. Either Tonali or Bruno G would be great. Yeah, well, look, don't forget, Super Bowl Sunday. We're live at 11 o'clock on That's Football tonight. joining our Super Bowl stream. Even if you don't like NFL, it's always a good laugh. Got loads of sweets and drinks and stuff. Get that English winger tearing it up at Barcelona, says Robert. I don't even want to do that. I'm in a good mood. I don't even want to talk about that, mate. I don't want to talk about Rashford coming back. I think it would be horrible. Do we really want players forcing a move like Anthony, says Ollie Cam. Well, Mbermo forced a move from Brentford. Cunha forced a move from Wolves. It's just that it was mutual from the player and the club. There's nothing wrong with a player wanting to leave a club. Obviously, you don't really want the strike stuff and everything like that. I agree. Okay, let's... I've got a couple of more bits I want to talk about. Make sure you smash a like on the video this morning. 10,000 watching. Absolute legends. Don't normally do a video at this time, so thanks everyone who's tuning in. Okay, so look, I've got a couple of bits from Carrick that I quite liked, but I wanted to bring this in. This was from Ruud Gullit, the ex-Dutch international player, absolute legend of the game, talking about Zirkzee. He says, Zirkzee made a mistake moving to Manchester United. He should have stayed in Italy. When he left Bologna, he should have gone to Juventus or Milan and stayed in Italy. He arrived at United when there was a lot of bad energy around the club. It was the wrong time for him. There have been rumours that he could now leave United and go to Roma in the summer. I hope he makes that move or at least joins another club in Italy because it is much more suitable league for him. Well, obviously that can't happen now, but look, Ruud Gullit basically urging Zirkzee to quit Manchester United. Is he wrong? I think there's a lot of truth in what he said. As somebody who is a big fan of Zirkzee, I don't know what his role is in this team. He's going to be a bit part player, isn't he? I can't put Zirkzee in a Man United 11. And I think if you're going to be a player at Man United, you've always got to be a player that you can conceive them being in the 11. I think he's been a little bit unlucky that United wouldn't let him go because they were never going to buy anybody in January. But I think in the summer he probably does need to quit Manchester United, and I think United will let him go. And it probably has wasted 2 years of his career when you think about it, because he probably did come into the club with bad energy. He came in as a Ten Hag signing who got sacked within 3 months. He then played a little bit under Amrim but got injured. This season he couldn't get in under Amrim, and now Carrick's here and he can't get in under him. Look, Ruud Gullit's not being negative towards Man United. He's just stating a fact. He's probably right. Zirkzee and Man United, if it ever worked, I don't think it works now. He's a great character, and I think he's very happy and he's very well liked. I think him and Bruno are really, really close. But in relation to his career, I've got to be honest. I don't look at Zirkzee and think that's a player I want to be in the first team, and I don't look at Zirkzee and think he's a player that will be in the first team. I just don't. As Tobias says, there is no pathway to the starting 11 for him. I think in a 3-4-3, I mean, I don't even know why we bought him. I don't know why Ten Hag bought him. I don't really get it, because he's not a striker, and he's not better than Bruno. So, and he's not a winger. So, as a little cameo player, he's nice to have off the bench, but I just can't see him starting games of football. So the good thing is, and there is a big positive to this, the good thing is he is a player that will hold his value. 100% hold his value. So, hold on a minute. Are you going to get it out then? I haven't got it out yet. Sorry, I just realised, you know when you get given a job, like, will you please take the meat out at 12:15 for the Sunday lunch? And you go, yeah. And they go, you'll forget to do it. And I was going to forget to do it, and then I heard the door, and it's 12:15. So I just ran out to say, are you going to get it out, or shall I get it out? It's a good job she's back early, because I was never going to remember to take the meat out of the oven. So there we go. Bale will justice, says Gordon Shite. Oh, it's like Conor Gallagher all over again, isn't it? I like Conor Gallagher. I was impressed with him against Man City last week. I thought he played really well against us yesterday. I would have took Conor Gallagher as part of our midfield roster. And I like Anthony Gordon. But look, Ricky thinks Bruno's rubbish. So everybody has different opinions. I did forget, Flock. I did forget. But look, yeah, I thought it was interesting what Ruud Gullit said, because I think that with Zirkzee, it probably will end with a departure in the summer. But he'd definitely be one of those players that I would wish him all the best. I just don't think he's ever fitted in at Man United. The thing is, he's probably we'll get a couple of injuries to Mbeumo and Sesko, and he'll probably score 20 goals between now and the end of the season. But yeah, I do like him. What about Morgan Rogers on the wing? I mean, I think Morgan Rogers works better more centrally, but the more... Look, the Newcastle story is 100% true. What we get from Newcastle, we'll have to wait and see, but we're definitely there, like, waiting to pounce on Newcastle targets in the summer. For us to go for Villa players, they'd have to not win the Europa League and not finish in the top 5, and then I think they need to sell to buy. What would I go... Morgan Rogers is a player I like. If Bruno's going to go at some point, and he will, you're left with Cunha. I like Cunha, but that's a hell of a statement to say Cunha can be Bruno. I would be more comfortable if we did buy Morgan Rogers and we had Cunha and Rogers like working against each other. Rice says, did Seb win? They won on penalties, mate. They're in the final. It was a great semi-final. Fair play to both teams. Mrs. Stone says, we're sleeping on Livramento. Livramento's a good look. There's a few players from Newcastle I'd be interested in, but the three, as I say, Tonali, Bruno G, Anthony Gordon. Poet says, who would you sign as an experienced striker to help Sesko? I made a Man United song, would love to send it to you and play it live if you like. Thanks, says Poet. Thank you very much for your super chat. Send it to that'sfootballmedia@gmail.com. Experienced striker for Man United. We're never going to sign one, mate, because the club won't sign anybody over 26. So name me an experienced striker that's 25. It's very, very difficult. I don't think we'll actually go down the route of doing that. Especially when Mbeumo can play up front. They'll just see it as a cheap alternative. Mark, Bruno Dor or Ballon d'Orgu, have a nice Sunday, says Shin. I'll tell you what, if Portugal win the Ballon d'Or... Sorry, if Portugal win the World Cup, and Bruno keeps doing what he's doing, he's got to put himself in the top 5 for the Ballon d'Or. I'm not saying he should win it, but he's got to be in the top 5 for the Ballon d'Or, and he's got to win Premier League Player of the Year. Absolutely. Just a couple of bits from our coach or interim manager, whatever you want to call it. I liked this from Carrick. He was basically asked about possibly staying on past the season. He said the results over a short period of time don't change anything. If they have changed something, then there's something wrong. It can't be so knee-jerk. Whether it's really good or a few issues we need to solve, it's steady progress. And I love this from Carrick because obviously some of you are ready to give him the job. Some of us are like, please don't give him the job at the moment. And I think Michael Carrick, in his own words, saying it's way too early. You can't just have a few good results and make a knee-jerk reaction. Whatever happens, it can't be knee-jerk. Whether we're having bad results, good results, we can't make knee-jerk reactions. It's about progress and it's about the right choices. So he's speaking like somebody who actually gives a shit about the club. And he said, I want the club to be successful beyond this season. If it's me or somebody else, I can't control that. We'll see what happens. But it's certainly about trying to improve the team and keep making United stronger, improving over time. You know what, though? That did make me think. I liked what he said about we can't be making knee-jerk reactions, but it made me think, is there anything this season we can do that's really going to go into next season? Is there anything that we can do in the next few months that's really going to go into next season? And I don't know that there is. I don't know what we can do. I think whatever happens next season, whether it's Carrick or a new manager, I don't think there's a lot we can take from this season into next season, even if we win every single game. Because I don't actually think that what we're doing at the moment has a lot of longevity to it. Casemiro will be gone. Maguire can't be long-term. I don't think Dalot and Shaw are long-term. That's 4 straight away. Is Bruno going to stay? That's 5. I think whatever happens in the summer, whether it's Carrick in charge or another manager, this summer, yet again, is going to be, hopefully, huge renovation, because I don't think there's a lot we can take from this season into next season other than Champions League qualification, and that's something that I think Michael Carrick would agree with as well. I don't think we can take momentum. What I'm saying is I don't think this team is going into next season and doing well without major renovation. I think there's too many people leaving, too many people who won't be able to do two games a week, too many people who probably aren't good enough. I think there's a lot to do in the summer that it's a rebuild summer for me, basically. I don't understand the praise of Declan Rice. To me, he isn't much better than what Henderson was at Liverpool, just a very good player. Says Red, but I think he's a fantastic player, Declan Rice. If you could give me Declan Rice or Caicedo, I would be very happy for next season. Can we talk about Martinez to Barcelona rules, says Miss Rumour. I've not heard about it, Mrs. Stone. I've not heard about that at all. Ben says, who should we sign in the summer and who should we go? I think that's a bigger question than a last couple of minutes of a morning news show, mate. I think it's a lot to... There's a big list about that. I've heard nothing about Martinez and Barcelona, although I think he'd be a very good signing for Barcelona. 4 wins and delusions of grandeur are back, says Claire. You're going to get it, Claire, in the chat with your boring name. And could at least try to give more game time to our young players, especially in defence, says Peter. Yeah, well, look, Yoro and Heaven, I just don't know how many minutes they're going to get between now and the end of the season. Whether that's important or not, I don't know. Will you take Lewis Hall at United? And it's a crime Glazers can bid $1 billion for IPL team, but not put a penny into United for January signings, says Neelish. Oh, yeah, but people don't want to talk about that, Neelish, because we've won 4 games and Carrick's at the wheel. You know, we've won 4 games, Carrick's at the wheel. We don't want to talk about the fact that the Glazers didn't spend anything in January and Casemiro could have broke his ankle yesterday and the season would have been on its arse. And they're spending over £1 billion on a cricket team, but no one gives a shit about that because we've won 4 games. You're absolutely spot on, Neelish, but it's just me and you in an empty room saying it's disgusting that the Glazers can go and spend nearly $2 billion on a cricket team but not spend anything on our January transfer window. But, you know, what we're going to do about that. There we go. I think the summer's got to be a massive rebuild, 100%. Right, I am back with you at 8 o'clock. That was not meant to be a 40-minute show, but it has been. So there we go. I hope you're all in a very good mood this morning. I certainly am. Fantastic morning, and very happy with what United are doing as well. Hopefully, in the context of the league, I did mean to show you this a little bit earlier because it would have shown you the massive problems that Newcastle are under at the moment. So as you can see there, Newcastle are currently on 33 points in 12th place, and we are in 4th place on 44 points. So we're 11 points ahead of Newcastle. They're not getting in the top 5, so that's why we're targeting them. But today could be even better for us because look at how far Liverpool are behind us. 4 points. They play Man City today at 4:30, and then they've got to go Sunderland on Wednesday. We've got to go West Ham. We should beat West Ham 47. Liverpool lose their next 2, 8-point gap. So starts today against Man City. I mean, I'd like a draw, to be honest. However, it's starting to look very good, isn't it? I am live on That's Football for Liverpool against Man City at 4 o'clock as well. So if you want to join in for that, certainly a big game for us. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Thanks everybody who tuned in on the show this morning. 10,000 legends of you. Who's the ideal Luke Shaw replacement for you, says GX. I mean, I do like Lewis Hall. I think he's probably the number 1, in my opinion. I really do like him. I think he'd be perfect. It's all over the news, Mark, that apparently Barcelona want Martinez. And yet, I haven't seen it. See you at the Super Bowl. Let's go Seahawks, says Mrs. Stone. Let me have a quick look at this. Lisandro Martinez. I mean, to be fair, he is a perfect Barcelona player. All I can see is Man United on alert to growing Barcelona belief defender raid as Old Trafford scouts. Manchester United could be bound for a defensive revamp. Man United... Yeah, I don't see that happening. I can look. I ain't got a problem with Barcelona looking at Lisandro Martinez, but I can't see it happening. Right, thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you in a bit.